Hello and welcome to Dad's Our Pod. No, that's not the right job, is it? Hold on. Good job I can edit this, right?
Good start, champ. Proud of you.
That's it. That's the nerves. Let's get the nerves that way. Right. Hello and welcome to Dad's Our Job podcast. This is your host Adam Neverbarrow with Rob Horton and Callum Horton. Hello guys, how are you getting on?
I'm well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, good. All good here. Yeah. Everyone else all right?
Good. Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. It's good to get this out the ground, especially after it's only been 8 months in production.
I'm also glad that you got the. Yeah, go on, Rob. Go on.
I feel like that's 7 months of talking, to be fair.
Yeah, it's finally come to fruition.
1 month of preparation.
I'm also glad that you got the title right as well, to be fair.
You know what? I might just leave that in just for the purpose of the pod. So just show that we are human. We ain't gonna edit everything out, right, Duke? So just a bit of clarity. Callum was a bit afraid of using his real name on the pod, so he come up with the name Duke, which is quite interesting of all names to use. So
he thought he was going to be famous, and he didn't want people flocking to his door, looking for him. So he used the secret name.
Well,
his favourite cowboy.
Yeah. There's so many stories that could be.
What, Dukes of Hazzard?
No,
mate,
John Wayne.
Listen, don't come for John Wayne. There's a lot of stories that could be that need to be told to explain that name.
We'll leave that for future
John
episodes.
Wayne, mate. You could just say John Wayne.
Right, okay, so let's go into a bit of a brief introduction about ourselves. We're 3 dads that all live on the same site in Essex, and we went out for a beer one day over Christmas, and we decided to clash our heads together and go, let's do a podcast. This is what we're going to do. Everyone's going to listen to it. We're going to be mega rich. We're going to live on a vineyard within 6 months. It's going to happen. We're going to do it. And this is where we are. But in terms of an individual introduction, we'll start with Rob. So Rob, would you like to do a bit of a brief background about yourself? Explain your family lifestyle, who you support, and go from there, mate.
Yeah, so just off the back of starting our own podcast, I feel like we're doing what every group of friends do as they start to near middle age and they have nothing better to do with their time than start a podcast and share all their fantastic opinions about things. So I'm sure we'll be doing great in 6 months' time. But as for me, I am an Arsenal fan. I would love to say that I got to choose my team, but I did not, because I grew up in the Bowling, literally less than half a kilometre from West Ham football ground. But my dad grew up in Highbury, and when he told me I was supporting Arsenal, he was bigger than me, and that decided it for me. And to be fair, as far as decisions that my dad has made for me, that has proven to be very good, because I have enjoyed wonderful football and some fantastic times as an Arsenal fan. For example, in the near 40 years that I've been alive, Arsenal have won 10 FA Cups. So as far as enjoying things goes, it's been pretty good. And in contrast, the local team have finally just done something in the last 2 years. So I think being an Arsenal fan has done me very well. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Okay, that's more like I've gone to bed talk, that is. So tell us about your family lifestyle, Rob. What's your situation? After all, this is a Dad's Our Job podcast where we mainly focus on how we are football fans in where it's not a primary focus anymore. It's almost like a secondary sort of lifestyle that we like to live. Obviously, we're all dads and we're bringing up young families. So I think, yeah, if you'd just like to describe what your family lifestyle's like, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with football. I love watching football. I say I love watching football. I love watching the Premier League, um, and I play a lot of fantasy football and things like that. So watching football at home now is a lot trickier because my children aren't as into football as I am. They have started to get more into it recently. I've got two children, boy and a girl, Danny and Alea, but it's only the last sort of 6 months where they've started to get more interested. So balancing that has been pretty difficult. We sometimes go to the pub during the week to watch games if there's midweek games, but at home watching football can be pretty tricky. But I think that might change over the next year or so because my youngest has started playing football, and she really enjoys that, and she likes. I suppose she's at that age where she likes singing and joining in with the songs. And Arsenal have got some pretty good songs that you can sing along to. And then my oldest has started playing football more at school, and so I think that might be something where we tried him in football when he was younger, but I feel like he might take on it a little bit more as he gets into secondary school. So we'll see. But yeah, the struggle is real.
That's great. That's great. So, Callum, would you like to introduce yourself to our many listeners?
Yeah, so I'm Callum. I'm actually Rob's little brother. So my story sort of echoes Rob's, but other than being a massive gooner, I've got a little boy, 2.5, who, to be fair, absolutely loves sport. Any sport, to be fair, anything on TV, he'll watch it. So to be fair, we're really quite excited for the Olympics starting on Friday this week. But yeah, he loves watching football, and he will sit down there most Saturdays and Sundays and watch all the games. Obviously in between actually just kicking the ball everywhere around the living room. Um, and yeah, so I'm actually quite blessed because, like I say, he just wants to watch sport and he's fascinated by sport. Motor racing and bikes and yeah. So I've had quite a bit of a touch, in fact, and it's sort of like the stereotypical lad. At the moment, like I say, I know he's still very very young, but yeah, he seems to have a born interest at the moment. So I'm quite chuffed with what he's doing at the moment. So yeah, that's my boy, and yeah, like I say, he's an avid Arsenal fan. He likes singing songs and enjoys Dad's crazy celebrations and miseries when we're losing. But yeah, Bo's a good boy, and like I say, he likes watching all the games at the moment. So I've had a right touch.
That's great. That's great. Are you guys interested about my introduction? I don't think anyone is, but I'll give it a go anyway.
Yeah, we'd
Yeah,
love
go
to
on.
hear it.
I want to see how professional it is.
Okay, so I'm Adam, and I've got a 2.5-year-old daughter, around the same age as Bo's, or Callum's even. She's brilliant. She's a great little character. Definitely got parts of me and parts of her mum about her, and she's definitely keeping us on our toes. And it's quite great because just especially with the football. Ever since she's been born, I've only seen England and my club do well in tournaments, which has been quite refreshing. After I've had 37 years to wait, and she's been alive for 2, and she's experienced more success than I have. So I'm not jealous. I'm pleased for her. I'm pleased for her legacy that she's got ahead of her. But
Living for the glory
originally,
years.
that's it. She's a glory hunter. Who'd thought that? But in terms of the club I support, I'm a West Ham fan. I've been, as soon as I was born, I had a claret and blue scarf from my dad and my granddad wrapped around me from day dot. So again, when you talk about you don't get a choice in it, you don't choose your football club. Your football club chooses you, and you have to kind of live with it at the end of the day. But yeah, I love West Ham. I think we're kind of like sort of the F sort of fans. Like we like to give a good bit of banter, but I like to think we can take it as well. Um, we've
We
been
all
known
like to
as
be
been
Adam
playing.
Adam.
Yeah, we all do. I'm just trying to sugarcoat it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean,
um,
you say salt of
let's
the
let's
earth.
not talk
I feel
about
like
Declan Rice for the minute. I'm trying not to
maybe
talk about that.
salty rather than
I,
yeah.
I think that's a whole
I,
episode, isn't it? That Declan Rice chat. I think that's got to be a whole episode.
we could talk about an entire episode of me converting to pasta over rice in my entire meal consumption, just to get away from the memories. But yeah, so I'm a West Ham fan. My granddad was born in East Ham, and then moved out, and then we kind of steered way back in. So I am a third generation Hammer, and Connie, my daughter, she will be a fourth generation Hammer, which is great. Um, but what's good about Connie is that to get her off to sleep, I would sing her Bubbles, and I would sing West Ham are massive. And as she's got older, this is you talk about being a glory hunter fan.
Yeah.
She only sees West Ham as being West Ham massive. She doesn't know him as being West Ham United. It's just West Ham massive. so,
Nice.
so I think she is cute now, but I think when she gets older, she might end up regretting calling West Ham massive when she's about 16, 17. So,
Well, I have
yeah.
a question to ask actually. I think those songs that you her bedtime songs are great. I was just wondering if you sang her the Bowen song as part of her bedtime routine.
Um, no. I mean, I'll just sing the Gala version for now. I think in my head I know what I'm singing, but I think for
Right,
hers,
okay.
yeah,
Okay,
that's
you
great.
sing the
That's
Watkins
great. Yeah,
version
so
instead.
so for the context of the podcast, we've got 2 Arsenal fans and 1 West Ham fan. So I'm outnumbered already. I know I'm going to be outbantered already, but to be honest, I think 1 West Ham makes up for 2 Arsenal fans. We're quite level, I think, on this podcast. Yeah,
I'll
so
do you a
do
favour.
you want to talk about? Obviously, the football has occurred, last season and this summer, and let's talk about it. England's heartbreak
Okay.
in the final. I mean, I'm still a little bit reeling over it at the fact that we didn't win it, especially being the odds-on favourites, and to go out narrowly again, back-to-back Euro finals, first final in a foreign country ever. I'm still a little bit sad about that, but we move on. Southgate has served his time, and now we have to look forward to a New England coming forward for the Nations League. So what's your thoughts on the Euros that have gone just recently?
Carol, do you want to go first?
Yeah, go on. I'll go first. Yeah. To be honest with you, I'm going to be probably quite controversial here, but I just see growth. Like, you talk about glory years for West Ham, and we talk about the '90s for the Arsenal, and the Arsenal, the beginning of the Arsene Wenger reign. Like England, you think about in the '90s how England was. Like we weren't even guaranteed, or we weren't even thinking about qualifying for championships, and we've just had a period of 2 semi-finals and 2 finals, and I hear a lot of lads chatting and going, oh, Southgate this and these players that and nearly men, and I'm sort of like, well, actually, we are massively in the right direction. We got youngsters coming out of our ear holes, where before it would be basically, let's be honest, the squad would pick itself. And the biggest question was, why does Lampard always play with Gerrard? And we've got to 2 finals. Um, I think Southgate. I think it's probably the right move for him. Um, but I do think we are now going to get a backlash of that going into the Nation League. And I don't know if we can necessarily perform, with the changeover of manager. But I think it's exciting. I think it's exciting. To be fair, I know I won't disagree with a lot of people and say the football wasn't great this tournament. But again, we still got to a final. Maybe did it in a messy way, but we still got there. And like I say, we got good players. You've got players that we build a team around. So I think it's exciting personally. What about you, Rob?
Um, I was desperate for England to win this one just because I'm sick and tired of West Ham fans telling me that they are the only reason that we won the World Cup in 1966. um, but jokes aside, um, like every other England fan, I wanted us to win it. Um, I think if you, I think in the balance of fairness, Spain were the best team at the Euros. So just on that alone, they probably deserved it. It doesn't make me feel any better, but that's the reality. I think that the squad was unbalanced because I think I'm very grateful to Gareth Southgate and what he did, but the reality is he still chose that squad, and going out without a fit left back was embarrassing. Like he should have taken a left back who could play and not putting Trippier on the left. He should have taken someone like Mitchell who could have played on the left. I just think that's unforgivable, and that frustrated me. And then also having this, just trying to force this puzzle piece of Foden and Bellingham was annoying. But having said all of that, he went for the defensive side that would get us to the final and hope that the talent up top would get a couple of goals to win the games and get us there, which is exactly what happened. So as far as Gareth Southgate's game plan was going, that worked. I think going forward, I think by the time the next Euros come around, I think people will start questioning whether Kane is a starter. And obviously you've got people like Walker and Trippier who will probably not be in the squad anymore. So I think it'll be quite an interesting turnaround for whoever does come in. They've talked about Poch. I'm not a big fan of that. I think I'd probably prefer an English manager. But having said all of that, it's about who's available in it. So
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
see.
Yeah.
What about you?
If I'm honest, going into the tournament, let's just put this in perspective. Tournament football is all about winning. It doesn't matter whether you win 4-0, 5-0, 4-2, whatever, or even if it's 1-0. If you win 1-0 every game, you've won the tournament. And
That's right.
I was too, and I understand that most of the fan base want to be entertained. They want to see us go around and absolutely annihilate these teams. I mean, it's not, again, as we've seen, tournament football, the standard is of the highest level it could ever possibly be in football, in footballing terms. So when we was nicking 1-0 wins against Serbia, a draw against Denmark, a good Denmark side, and then obviously scraping through Slovakia in the knockouts, I think again it's moments that win games. And although we was quite reserved in our build up play, I think they done the job. And like you talk about Kieran Trippier being converted into a left back, we never lost a game while Trippier played. Like when he started the game, and he was dropped in the final, and Shaw started, and we lost. And it's quite telling to think that everyone's moaning about playing a player out of position, but I'll give full credit to Trippier to slotting in and doing what the manager asked him to do. And sadly, I think that will be his last tournament, as is Kyle Walker. I think it was probably one tournament too much for Kyle Walker, but still played relatively well. Mm-hmm. But again, I know, Callum, you said that you was being quite controversial with your opinion in terms of you see growth. I see it as well. I mean, when you look at last season, our under-21s beat the Spanish squad in the Euros, and Cole Palmer scored the winner, or I think it was a shot deflected off Curtis Jones. I stand corrected on that. But when you look at that under-21 squad, we had Cole Palmer in that. We had Anthony Gordon, who was player of the tournament. And then you've got other youngsters that are coming in, that the youngsters that are going to come up to the squad for the next major tournament. Like you're looking at Harvey Elliott, Morgan Gibbs-White, Emil Smith-Rowe, if he can get fit at Arsenal or look to secure a move. Curtis Jones, Quansah, Rico Lewis, Levi Colwell, James Trafford. Like when you look at these players are playing
Right,
top flight
Eddie
Premier League
Nketiah.
football. I don't think he was
Right,
in the
Eddie
squad,
Nketiah.
mate. If I'm honest. Max Aarons, and then you look at the under-21s that are playing now. You've got Alex Scott, Dane Scarlett at Spurs, who seems to be performing pretty well and has got a bright future ahead of him. And then you've even got the West Ham Academy that are looking to get in. Like you've got George Urphy, Caden Casey. There's like I look at the England squad beyond the seniors, and it looks very, very promising. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot more. There's a lot more players there that I haven't mentioned that probably deserve a lot more credit. But I think we've got a fantastic squad. I think we have, and I think it's just the next step now is when it's going to be telling. I
Do you
think
think
Harry
they'll
Kane.
go with Lee Carsley?
In my opinion, I hope not. I hope not, but I see the logic in it. I see the logic
see
of
it.
transition because that's what Southgate done. You know, when Southgate took over for Sam Allardyce, Southgate stepped up from the under-21s with his squad, and his squad involved players like Harry Kane, John Stones, Cole Walker, Raheem Sterling. So he grew with those players and Kieran Trippier as well. So those nucleus of players he built around. So I could probably see the logic in Carsley coming in and using the successful under-21 squad to build the senior squad round. But part of me thinks, just go get Klopp, go get Pep Guardiola. Like we're the oldest footballing association in the world, and we've got the best domestic football league in the world. But we managed to not secure a world class manager at international level, and it's quite worrying.
But we've tried that before.
Yeah, I don't think we have though. If I'm completely, we had Sven Goran Eriksson in, but was he world class at the time of appointment? Probably not. I think probably his better days were at Lazio, and especially after failing with Roma in the Serie A league. And then we got Fabio Capello again, a fantastic domestic manager, and he managed AC Milan and Real Madrid to Champions League trophies. And might be staying corrected on that, but he got success out of them. But I think when he took on the job, he sort of type of football was too late at the time. Like if he was appointed earlier, and the same could be said for someone like Carlo Ancelotti coming in. He's doing a fantastic job at Real Madrid. But do you think that now maybe he's looking to come towards the end of his tenure at Real Madrid after signing his probably last contract? Is his style of football going to be out of date? And even the same could be said for Jose Mourinho. I think you just need a new manager with fresh ideas that are going to get the best out of the squad. And who better than Pep? If I'm being completely honest, he's got 1 year left at his Man City contract. I mean, if I'm completely honest, in terms of the next manager, I don't. Yeah, I can't see it. I can't see it. I'm not gonna say he's definitely going to be the manager, but that's the type of manager I'd expect the Footballing Association to be hiring and looking at.
Yeah, but England don't do.
That's right.
They never hired anyone like that. Like even you think Gareth. I know, like he's been more forward thinking in the sense of picking players who are playing in form. Where back in the day, like I said, it would be literally it'd pick itself, and I don't think we had a manager who had the bottle to pick a player who didn't have a name. And I think Gareth has sort of broken that. But we don't pick a manager that sort of had that passion, that I suppose gumption to go out and play and set the team up exactly how he wants to. Because let's be honest, I think Gareth sort of did have more of the reins, but again, it's a lot of what we do is still typical, as you say, English football, especially going into competitions. We have the players now to have almost play like a Spain, that forward thinking, that creativity. But again, we settled for that sort of defensive sort of mindset.
Eliminating the risk.
Eliminating risk.
Eliminating the threat. and
Yeah.
threats like that, you can see goals. I mean, I know our defence was quite shoddy at times, and I remember Mark Gahey losing possession and having to track back and make a wonderful tackle. But you shouldn't have players making those mistakes. Yeah,
I do.
it's a tough one. It's a tough one. I think it was probably just not. Yeah, I'm disappointed we didn't get away with it. Like, undeserved winners. Sometimes you get teams like that, like Greece when they won the Euros. They weren't the best team in the competition, but still managed to find a way of winning in a negative manner.
Can I ask
But
two
yeah,
questions? Because
go on, mate.
both you guys, right, made points. So Rob made one about Harry Kane, which I'm going to ask both you boys about in a minute.
Yeah,
But Adam, you said about Trippier not starting the final. Yeah. Do you not think Luke Shaw had a good game? Because I thought he was, I don't maybe fantastic's a bit extreme, but I thought he was good in that game. He covered. Who was that winger? Their winger, the young boy. I can't think of his name. Top of my head.
you mean Lamau, wasn't it?
Yes, that's it. Yeah, I thought he handled him really, really well. To be fair, so I was just wondering what you think about. Like I know Adam, you said that you would have started Trippier, or we lost the game
Yeah,
potentially,
I,
but I
I,
thought actually he had. Go on.
yeah. No, I actually would have started Trippier if I'm completely
Would you?
honest, because it was quite
Even
clear
after
that.
seeing the game that Shaw had.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Because more of the fact that again, Luke Shaw went into that competition not fit. He's our best English left back,
Hmm.
and he wasn't fit. Trippier had played all tournament, and he
Yeah.
gave a good account for himself. But I was listening to Talksport, and one listener phoned up, and they said exactly the same thing. They'd rather play Trippier. Why is that? Because that Yamal cuts inside. So if he
Yeah.
cuts inside, he's going on to Trippier's strongest foot.
Stronger foot. Yeah. Good shout.
So he would have equalled him. But I think,
Mm.
to be honest, I think regardless of who we would have played, I think we still would have still would have lost, because that,
Well,
that, that kid is something special. And for what he done, he cut inside, but he didn't necessarily have a threat on goal because Shaw had defended against him pretty well. But he switched the ball over to Nico Williams, who um, Nico Williams, not Neco Williams. That's the Welsh player, isn't it? Nico Williams, the Spanish guy. But he cut inside and went on Walker's weak foot and ended up one scoring a goal and two creating the winner. So
for what it's worth, I think I agree. I don't think it would have mattered who we played in
in
the final.
hindsight,
I do think
it's great, isn't it? Yeah.
Spain would have won, but um, I think that if you said you would have still started Trippier, and that's fair. But I also think Spain was probably, other than maybe Switzerland, was like our first real tough game. The pathway to the final was the better of the two halves, and we played a really, really good team when we got to the final. And everyone else
I've
was
got
okay. And then if you look, and to be fair, I just looked up the England team ratings, and this is the Sky one. But Luke Shaw was the highest with John Stones and Jordan Pickford with sevens
but yeah, what in that game or
in that game. Yeah,
as a tournament overall?
no, in that game.
Oh, in that game, right? Okay.
I mean, to be fair,
Yeah,
that was
I'm not
Luke Shaw's
disagreeing that
tournament.
I'm not disagreeing that he didn't have a bad game. I just probably would have preferred something a bit asymmetrical to counter someone that goes in on the defender's weak foot.
Mm.
Can I?
Um, Go on, sorry.
Yeah. No, I was going to ask.
What's your
Obviously,
thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, like I say, I think he was one of our better players on the day. To be fair, in regards to Shaw, but Rob, you mentioned you got what the rating was for Kane for that game.
Just in that game.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll tell you. Hang on.
sorry.
I could guarantee his rating would probably match. It would probably be less than the amount of touches he had in the game.
Harry Kane got a 3 for the final. That's Sky
Wow.
Sports.
Yeah.
So,
But to be
my
fair,
other
he was
question
pretty
was,
much a free for the he was pretty much a free for the tournament, though, wasn't he? Like
yeah,
he wasn't fit. It's been acknowledged that he
Joint
wasn't
top
fit
goal
now.
scorer though.
Yeah, but there was 6 other joint top goal scorers. They all got the same. There was
Yeah.
six
I
other
mean,
joint top goal scorers.
my question for you lads is, when would you have changed him? How many games in would you have gone, right, we need to start, like, for instance, Ollie Watkins or Tony up front?
So can I start? I think
Yeah, go on, go on.
everyone was crying for Kane to be changed within about 2 or 3 games. Everyone, right?
Yeah,
But with Gareth Southgate, that is a poisoned chalice because he was damned if he did and he damned if he didn't. Because if he had changed him, they would have been saying, well, Harry Kane would have scored that. So I don't really feel like Gareth Southgate had much of a choice really because there was no way that he was going to win. Um, so I mean, I'm sitting here and I would have changed him, right? But I'm also not Gareth Southgate and I'm not the manager of England. And I just don't think there was a chance he was ever going to drop him.
yeah. So no, no, you make a good point. But how long? Like, say you say, sorry, that it was a poison chalice. But then if it's a poisonous chalice and he's damned if he does and if he doesn't, then have a bit of bottle and make the call. If he's going to get slated anyway, I'd like to think, we talked about certain managers that we want, and I think he has had the bottle to do certain things. Like, he's, for me, in our time of living, if you like, he's been the best English manager ever. But I would have liked him just to gone, right. He's not in form. Let's play someone who, or give someone a go. Because ultimately, that just builds excitement around the whole squad. Well, actually, look, he's seen it's not working. He's going to put me in. He's going to put me in. And to be fair, when the boys did come in, they did their jobs. And I think that's,
Yeah,
done them
absolutely.
a massive credit. And also, it's even more exciting because potentially we've got, two youngish strikers who, when the next big event comes along, big tournament comes along, they are going to be in their prime and proper fighting for it now, especially now they've had a little taste of it.
Hmm.
But I would have just liked him to gone, and no disrespect to Kane, obviously I know I'm a massive gooner, and I know he's a secret gooner as well. But
He ain't
you
no
know,
secret ruiner, mate. I've got the pictures.
Don't,
but
don't, don't wind up the Spurs fans on that first episode, please.
but
No.
I would have. You know, he's been a fantastic servant for England, and he scored. His goals speak for themselves. But um, you know, it wasn't his tournament. Unfortunately, I would have just liked to see if it would have made it. I mean, if it would have made a change. It doesn't matter now anyway. But um, you know, that's probably a question for the next manager who comes in and has to deal with that dilemma.
Yeah.
I think sadly, Tony and Watkins made difference making contributions from the bench, and they probably played between them maybe less than 2 games of football if you combined all of their minutes. And I think sadly there could be a case made that they did more in the minutes that they had than what
Yeah.
Kane did when he was playing full games. So
The bit that confuses me a lot is I'm getting this. I'm getting this on. I'm sensing this online. Is that everyone's too precious about players playing the full 90 minutes? I mean, we had a squad of 26 players, and we could have rotated those players and let them had a lot more minutes than usual. I mean, like, I can't see why um, Bellingham had to play 90 minutes. I can't see why Stones had to play 90 minutes and stuff like that. I felt that we had a good enough squad. Even Declan Rice, to an extent, I think he was burnt out,
yeah,
um,
you're right.
and he
Yeah,
could
he
have
gave the
played.
ball
Could
away a
he,
couple of times in
yeah,
the final, didn't
yeah.
he?
And again, I
Yeah.
think that's just because he doesn't know who his partner is. And as Southgate said, "Oh, we haven't got a natural replacement for Calvin Phillips." And I'm like, "Are you mental? You've got like these other kids in the squad that you're not even using." Yeah, but other
I
than
think
that,
his
if you can't
biggest
find a replacement for Calvin Phillips, change the way you play. Change the way you play to suit the squad that you've got. I mean, I always thought when I saw that England squad announcement, I thought he's going to go three at the back here and play four in midfield and three up top. I thought that's how he's going to play. Play Saka on the left, play Palmer on the right or Bowen, Foden front left, which he would have been playing anyway. Rice and Bellingham in the middle. Kane up top, and I just thought that's how he's going to play, but he didn't. He played back four, and I'm like, why? Like it was just strange. A lot of questions could be asked about that. And touching on Harry Kane quickly, I felt he wasn't fit, if I'm completely honest, and I think he will remain as the starting striker for England because there isn't another Harry Kane, until we find a kind of that clinical threat up top at international level. I don't think he's being shifted at all, regardless who the manager is, because I think everyone wants Harry Kane in their squad. I just don't think he was fit enough. I think even leading up to the Euros, he missed the last 4 games of the Bundesliga with a back problem. So he didn't even see out at the end of the domestic season. So it's for him to get fit for England and score 3 goals being 60% fit. I think that's probably a pretty good achievement. I also felt it was a bit overweight as well. I mean, when I was watching his international, all the goals from Southgate's era at competitions, and Harry Kane features in a hell of a lot of them. But as the years have gone on, you could see he's getting chunkier, he's getting chunkier, and I think this was his chunkiest. I'm not, I can't talk. I'm not, I'm not an Adonis myself. I'm just sitting here on a beanbag in my daughter's playroom with my belly hanging out. But I just felt he wasn't fit, and I felt maybe the next tournament he could have a bit more preparation. But when you're talking about your hungry players coming in, let's think about Rashford. Let's think about Grealish. They got put to the side because they were out of form. They're going to have a big 2 years ahead of them if they want to make the World Cup in 2026. And
would you took them?
No, I wouldn't have took him. I wouldn't have took him because you've got the likes of Eze, who I felt was rightfully in form. You've got Palmer, who, in my opinion, should have started. Anthony Gordon, who I thought should have started a lot more, especially being young player of the tournament the previous season at the under-21s level. I just felt that left hand side was a problem for us, both defensively and attacking.
I'm with you. I definitely would not. I would not have dropped Saka. I would have dropped either of Foden in fact, Foden and Bellingham were more of an issue to me than Kane was, because in the box I would have fancied Kane for most things, right? But Kane had to keep dropping back.
Yeah.
But the Foden Bellingham situation was so frustrating because I would have been starting Eze, or I would have been I would have been playing Gordon, and it was infuriating to see so much potential on the bench because Southgate couldn't bring himself to drop two players who had won their league player of the season. And the reality is there wasn't room for both of them in the team. That is all there is to it. There was not room for both of them.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a Frank Lampard Gerrard situation again?
I was just about to end the Euros conversation on that note of the fact that we've been moaning about not being successful under all these managers and having Iceland to think about and Brazil in 2014 being knocked out, and we had that trying to segue Gerrard and Lampard into it, and all these years later down the line we've seen their most successful England squad in our lifetime, and we've got the Gerrard Lampard situation again.
Yeah, but the reality is they both could have played if he played a 3-5-2 from the off. If he just played the 3-5-2, they both could have played, and it wouldn't have been a problem because they both would have been in the middle of the park, and one could have switched to help out Rice, and then he would have had Gordon and he would have had Saka, but he didn't do that.
No. Well, let's finish it like this. Let's be honest. 8 years ago, we would have never even dreamt of having these conversations that we've been to 2 finals. So let's take our hats off to Gareth Southgate and say what a hell of a job he has done and how he's turned everyone's, especially all us Englishmen and ladies, to of massive hope and excitement for the years to come. He's potentially set up something that our kids, let's be honest, our kids are gonna hopefully enjoy and just spark that interest for them for years to come.
That's it. Yeah. That's it. Let's doff our cap to the man who almost brought football home, right?
Yeah, exactly, 100%.
Okay. Rob, in the meantime, while I'll try and get my stuff together, could you promote the Dad's Our Pod Fantasy Football League for us?
Yes, have you got the pin?
No. but
Hang on,
but
I'll
for
get the
those
I'll get the
that
pin.
no, in seriousness, for those that are interested in the Fantasy Football Premier League, we have our own Twitter account. It's Dad's Our Job podcast, and the invite for the Fantasy Football League should be on there. So just click on the auto join, and you should be able to connect straight away. But for the purposes of this podcast and those not that don't have Twitter or X now, it's called, Rob will share the pin code with you.
I haven't found it.
Oh,
I'm still looking for it. You posted a lot
God.
in our group chat, mate. Hang on, you can
I
edit
did.
this out. Don't worry.
No, no, I'm not editing. This is not the way this podcast's going to go. This is real
Don't be
time,
so
people.
aggressive.
This is real time.
Okay, hang on. Fantasy. I'm just looking through our group chat now.
So, Callum, have you thought about your fantasy football name?
No, I'm not going to lie
Have
to
you
you.
got any
But,
ideas?
well, I would like to think I'm clever enough to have some sort of pun, but I probably ain't. And I think, obviously, it's only fair to have something with Arsenal, but with my son involved as well, being a dad podcast. So
Mm.
I'm going to try and play something with Arsenal and my boy's name. So yeah, I don't know.
Just trying to think of some Arsenal puns now, and it's failing
Yeah,
to deceive
with
me.
Bo in it.
With Bo.
Yeah.
What about Bo of
Bowen's on fire.
what about
No. How
Bo
about
of Bo of Rice?
Bo of Rice? How about?
Bo of Rice.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Or
Yeah, I mean,
Bakayo Saka.
Bo Kaya Saka, yeah. That's
yeah,
quite
I like
Okay.
that one. That's it. Yeah.
I found our code. The code is PXWTLY, and that
Right.
is for our Premier League. So join us. I like to think I'm pretty good.
Quick question.
I noticed the silence there between me and Callum. Just
Well, Callum
I
don't
like
know
to think
what
I'm
he's
pretty
doing.
good. I've reached
pretty
the
good.
I've reached the top 120,000. Thank you,
You didn't last season, mate.
mate. I was so off it. I was so off the ball,
I finished ahead of you last season.
mate. I think I still had Thierry Henry on my starting lineup. What's your team name, Rob? That you've got?
My team, I like to do a pun every year. And so this year I've combined my love of our goalkeeper, David Raya, and one of my favourite Disney films that is Loki, and I've gone for Raya and the Dragon. So that is the name of my football team this year.
That's a tough ass stat, isn't it? I mean, my team name this year is a bit Spanish themed, so I've gone with Jamón de Este, which is West Ham in Spanish. And the reason I say that is because I used to work with a couple of Spanish guys, and they were Valencia fans, and they always used to say, "So Adam, how was Hammond the West there this weekend?" And I'm like, "You can't say it like that. It's West Ham. It's not like Gammon from the west side of this place. It's West Ham. West Ham's a place." How's Hammond the West Day get on? All right, Hammond the West Day lost 3-0. Thank you for reminding me. But also, that's just a little nod to our new Spanish manager, Julian Lopetegui. So let's see how he gets on. It'll be an interesting season for him.
How many
But my
times did you
previous
practice that in front of the mirror?
what Julian Lopetegui.
Yeah.
Julian Lopetegui. Yeah. Mate, have you heard Sam Matterface say his name?
No.
He said it the other day, and he went, "Oh, West Ham have just appointed Julian Lopetegui or something like that," and it was like,
God.
"That's not even. Is that how you say his name?" I've never heard his name said like that before. Yeah, interesting,
you.
but yeah, can you just? I think I've gave it a good go considering many West Ham fans would likely get his name wrong. Lopetegui, or what they'd like to say. But apparently the nickname for him now is J-Lo. So we've got
Nice.
Jenny from the block managing West Ham, which is good.
Nice.
Do you think he's going to bring success?
I think that's for another podcast episode, if I'm completely honest.
No, I mean you're right. I
Um,
just
yeah. I think I'll save my thoughts on that for another episode. Um, okay, so we're almost at the end of our first podcast. We'd just like to run through a few features that we'd like to kind of entice you as a listener to kind of present ourselves, to keep you coming back. So obviously we'll talk mostly about football because that is our sort of release from being a parent, and being able to talk with Rob and Callum is a good tonic for that. Don't bottle things up. It's always good to talk about it. Um, but other things we'd like to talk about in the future is what sort of incidences and stories that our kids have brought us and made us laugh or made us cry or horror moments. So yeah, there's plenty to talk about, and we're not we're not preaching to be the best parents in the world. We're just living our experiences and trying to be the best parents that we can possibly be to our kids. So that's important to note. We're not an advice or helpline. We just like to share our experiences, and hopefully some people can relate to that. And that's it for our first episode of Dad's Our Job. But before we go, we've got a little feature. We've got a question from a listener. If anyone does have any questions for us three, you can get us on dadsourjob@yahoo.com. And Rob has already rinsed me about the choice of email, rather not going with Google, but opting to go with Yahoo. Reason why I wanted to make Callum feel at home with his cowboy sort of love, so we thought we'd go Yahoo.
thank you, mate. I appreciate you thinking of me. Cheers.
Yeah. So yes. So we've gone a bit out there. We've gone with Yahoo. Don't judge us. So the question from the listener is, what has your kid done this week that has made you laugh?
I would like to start by saying, does this listener have kids? Because
I would like to think so.
invariably, I don't feel like my kids make me laugh. However, I think so. My son is into Muay Thai, and I've recently bought some pads so that we can practice some of his sparring sequences that he has. And we agreed on a particular part of this sequence that there would be 3 punches. And so we were going through the sequence, and I let him do the 3 punches, and then he thought it was important to add a 4th. By which point my pads were down, and he hit me in the jewels, and I didn't think he was capable of hurting me, but it turns out that he is, and so so I took one
That's a bit
square
tragic.
in the balls from my son, and it's one of them ones that I feel like you look back on and laugh because at the time it wasn't funny. But yeah, I suppose that was the highlight of the week, or the high note of the week.
It was definitely Kelly's highlight of the week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Callum, same question.
Well, to be fair, I've got to be a bit honest with you, lads. So my mother-in-law has had Bo for the whole of this week. So I've had a
Oh, for
week
God's sake! This
of
is about
not having
parenting
him.
experiences, and you've palmed him off to your in-laws. That's good.
No,
That's
it's
good.
it's
To be
building
fair, I
family
rate
bonds. That is, yeah. No, so yeah, no, he's been building family bonds with my mother-in-law, and he's had a world of a time. But
So you've been
yeah,
laughing since last week, then?
yeah, I've actually been sleeping. Because he's up 4 or 5 times during the night. So I've had a full week of no broken sleep. But what has he done this week to make me laugh? So I think like I'm guessing you sort of got the same, Adam, where the obviously where they're so young, but they are starting to show they've got like a little characters, and so like with Bo, he's like he's got this thing like where we're messing about and like we play fight, and he sort of goes, "Who's that over there?" Yeah, like, as if to fake ya and then jump on ya and wrestle ya, and it's you sort of think, oh yeah, like you are showing your individuality. You are you're coming out of your shell, and you have got a bit about you, and he just makes me laugh because he thinks like like the little things are such a big deal to like babies, and like he just loves the fact that he thinks that he's tricking you, and he just has the biggest smile, and yeah, he just makes me laugh in the sense that he thinks that he's got one over you, and he knows how to play the games, and like I say, he does it to me, and then he goes over to his mummy and tries it on his mummy as well, and it's sort of like he gets more enjoyment out of it than anyone else. But yeah, that's what makes me laugh. He's starting to show his little character. What about you, Adam?
Um, I think because obviously where I work most of the time, I don't get really to see much of Connie throughout the day. But with my new job, I do get to get home a bit earlier now, and so obviously before bedtime is always quite a challenge because she's like me, she's hyperactive, she's very switched on, she's very awake, and she tries to play a game with you not going to bed. So her tactic this week was she's got a little baby in a pram, and she tries to be mother. So being mother this week has been quite a sort of thing this week. So she started putting on a penny in the kitchen and pushing the baby around. So she's pushing the baby around the kitchen, and she's doing laps, trying to wear herself out. And then she stopped. She looked at the baby and she went, "Are you okay? You okay, baby?" And I'm like, what the hell? Where have you got this from? So obviously I'm thinking, right, so she's remembered when Kerry used to walk around and then stop and then go, "You all right, darling?" And then she'd go, "Yeah." And then so she's remembered that, and there she's doing it to her own baby. But the other thing that she'd done was, again, she's doing laps, so obviously taking babies for a walk, but she's got a little toy dog, a little wooden dog with wheels on. So she's walking it around the front room, and so then we said, "Gonnie, you need to let him go wee wees before he goes to bed." So she goes up to the table. She puts the dog up against the leg of the table. But instead of the dog going for a wee, she's crouched down and cocked her leg up as if she's doing the wee for the dog. And I'm like, "What the hell are you doing?" So now not only have I got a maternal baby, I've also got a baby wanting to be a dog in the same space. So that's what made me laugh. I mean, when you're saying about the characteristics coming out, I mean, she's starting to copy other people and remember things. So that's quite encouraging that she's got good memory and a good sense of humour to do that. So that's what made me laugh.
Bless her.
Okay, well, and that's the end of our first podcast. Gents, how do you think it went?
I think we'll learn a lot from it.
That's a good. I mean, the only way is up, right?
That's right.
Thank God for editing, I think. But yeah, I mean, are we going to discuss what we're doing next week?
No, because we don't know if we're doing it next week.
Depends if you're home, mate.
No, I think it's important to raise it. Yeah, this is a tester episode for us, and I hope the listeners can see the sort of humanity behind it. But I'd like to think that our first official episode will be released on the eve of the Premier League, if not the day of the Premier League starting. I believe that is the second week of August game of the season. 16th. So it'll be that Friday, 16th of August. There we go.
Yeah,
that'll be our first episode. So tune in for that. I hope you enjoy what you've listened to, and see you again soon. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Thanks, bye.